What's going on, guys? Christian here from CK Wraps. Today I'm going to show you how to wrap a mirror using a seam. Now here's the trick, guys, for this piece. I want that to grab around the back side. So see how I stretched that out just slightly? I'm not just going to be using vinyl wrap for this. I'm going to be using color paint protection film, which is way more difficult to use because it has a top coating on it and it does not like to adhere to itself when doing overlapping seams. On top of that, it's a matte finish slash satin finish. So it's even more difficult because the energy level of this finish right here on this car is a much lower energy level than it is even with a gloss finish, which is already challenging enough to get the material to stick to itself when you're doing seams. Now it's even more challenging. And this is a question that I get asked a lot. So I'm going to show you in depth how to do this. Move the camera in, move the camera out, get it all in there so you guys can see exactly how this is done, because I get asked this question all the time by other shops, not even like by like DIYers or whatever, or whoever's watching, but by shops. And they're like, they can't get the seams to stick. I'm going to show you how today. And if you guys are looking for more in-depth how to vinyl wrap videos, check out my website, ckWraps.com, links in the top corner. As always, first month's free, open forum discussion board, and so on. Check it out. Links in the description below as well. Also, if you want something more easygoing, my YouTube members only section is already available on YouTube. If you're already on YouTube, it makes it much more simple to subscribe there. But I have at least a couple hundred videos uploaded there from my website. Just don't have the same kind of access as you would with the forum. Either way, it's all there for you guys. Let's get back into this. We're going to need a couple of things here. We're going to need some knifeless tape. So I'm using Design Line. It cuts the PPF really well, actually. It's not as, it could be better. It's not as good as Precision Line. Precision Line is a little bit better, but both are kind of just as finicky. So Precision Line has a steel cable. This has a pink filament, steel filament, pink filament. This is more like an elastic band. You're going to see that it breaks very easily. So you have to be careful with it because it can cause you some problems. Either way, let's get into this. I've masked off the bottom. I've prepped the surface with isopropyl alcohol, and we're going to start placing our knifeless tape down. So we're going to push the mirror in. You can do this with most cars these days. And I'll zoom the camera in so we can see where I put my knifeless tape and explain why I'm putting it where I'm putting it. All right, so let's put our knifeless tape down. Now, where are we putting our knifeless tape? And why are we putting it there? Well, we're trying to divide up the really hard area, to put it plainly. We want to divide this area up from this area over here. So from here over and from here over. Why? Because this material cannot handle the amount of stretch required to wrap the inside here and also all this area in one piece. It's not going to happen. I've tried it. Trust me, I've tried it like 20, 30 times. Not going to happen. I thought I could do it. It's kind of doable, but like you compromise the finish. So we don't want to compromise the finish. We want to make sure that the finish comes out looking good. That being said, I'm not going to also necessarily get this section done in the very first piece that I use. Luckily, this is just like a 1 foot by like 10-inch piece. Like it's a small piece. It's just scraps. Like I have scraps in the car. Just reach in there. I've got scraps in the car hanging out, okay? We're gonna put our knifeless tape down and we wanna divide this up sort of equally. Now, I try to actually make it so that I go a little bit more on this side with my first piece, and then my second piece will overlap that piece there, because we wanna essentially make the harder piece, which is this piece over here, easier so that it lasts longer and also looks better. Okay, so I'm gonna put my knifeless tape right about here. And some cars, you're going to see like you have a plastic weld line. This one, like some Teslas even show it. This one doesn't show it, but some Teslas even show it. Depends on what day of the week it was made, I guess. Okay, so we're going to come a bit more over the top with this one. And again, I'm trying to divide up the sections mostly equally. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're just trying to make it look nice and also make our job easier and last longer. Okay, so something, I don't want any bends in my knifeless tape, so I want to make sure it's flowing really nicely. And as you can see, look how much I left at the end. I left like 6, 7 inches. Just leave a little bit more, guys. You're not using a lot of this stuff. And on the bottom here, I have way too much, but I have like a foot, but that's okay. You'll see like 5 to 6, 7 inches or so. Okay, that piece is ready to go. Let me move the camera over again so you can see how I'm going to do the inside. I'm trying to think, like maybe if oh, door was locked, that was weird. Maybe if I open the door, I can get the camera in a different position. No, maybe not. It's better close. Let's move the camera over on this side. So I moved the camera actually to the back of the car because I found that this was the best position to be able to see. I have a piece cut. It's a little bit big, so we're gonna cut that down just a bit because we don't need that much. And I'm a big fan of having like the right size piece for the job or for the application. So we're gonna trim off some of that, make that also more symmetrical. So now it's more rectangular. It's not such a, it was kind of an odd shaped piece. It wasn't really rectangular. It was sort of in a way, but not great. Now here's the trick, guys, for this piece. What we're gonna do is, see if I can get the liner off, is we're going to take the material and we're going to like place it over top of the knifeless tape. You see that right there, okay? And I'm gonna just put a little bit of pre-stretch on it. Now, I want that to grab around the backside. So see how I stretched that out just slightly and how the material is wrapping itself down and around that backside? Very important, okay? This is not the hard piece to do, but it's important. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove the rest of the liner. You saw I left the liner on. That just prevents the material from prematurely sticking. And we're gonna pull the material across, just like this. Okay, I don't wanna pull the material beyond this edge right here. And you see how nice and smooth that looks right there? See, there's no wrinkles at all. It means that I did not pull past that edge. I put my hands on the inside and I pulled to the edge. This takes some experience or practice. You can do this as a beginner. It might just take a few pieces to do it or a few tries. But put your hands more forward. So let's do that. Let's do that again. Let's bring this all the way back to the beginning. Okay, that's the beginning there. Now look where my thumbs are. My thumbs, here's the edge of the mirror. My thumbs are over here. Because I know that I have to stretch the material. So I'm going to pull the material and then I'm expanding at the same time. And then I'm going to put that down right there. Done. Important part, make sure that the material is wrapped around the knifeless tape all by itself. I did not stretch it this direction. Okay, squeegee the air out as soon as possible. Do not leave it for long because it'll start to trap air. You can see that I got a couple of bubbles right there. I'm not sure how well that'll show on camera. It should show. Okay, we're gonna just open that up. Cool, gone. Okay, well, one more right there. Cool, we're gonna come down this way and we're gonna lift off the base. So because I have the mirror pivoted this way, the base is in the way. So we're gonna lift off the base and get that section done. Now what you should do, I have some air on the bottom right there. I've got a bubble. Let's get that one out. Okay, so what you should do is do your knifeless tape cut first because you want to make sure that you're not going to cut through your knifeless tape with your knife, basically. I'm going to trim off some of the excess material that I have here just to give me better access to the knifeless tape. We're going to take our knifeless tape. We're going to fold it over. Sorry, I'm just getting over a cold, so my voice is sometimes raspy and sometimes not. Fold it over, and then we have it separated, and then we're going to... I didn't want that to happen. I don't know. This actually been happening a lot with this particular finish. Okay, so we have extra on the bottom. This is not an ideal position to be in. Let's see if I can make I have a little bit more left here. Let's see if I can make that work. Okay, so if it breaks on both ends, there's another little trick. You just cut with your blade on top of your knifeless tape, but make sure you snap a blade off before you do that. PPF is very easy to score. So you don't have to really worry about pushing through as long as you don't push too hard, and the material will tear, basically like kind of like glass. Glass, if you score glass with a diamond blade, it cracks down that line. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get that piece. We're going to try. Let's take a bit of this. Here's a little trick. So let's take a bit of this. We're going to wrap it around our knifeless tape. And then we're going to try to... I got it. There we go. Okay, so cool. See that little trick right there? And then bring that... Oh, that just slipped out. Didn't break. I thought it broke for a second again. That was just like, that's weird because it doesn't usually break mid-cut. Cool, so we're at the bottom. I'm gonna hold my knifeless tape here and then bring that through. Okay, so we're gonna remove our excess material. Oops, well, I don't really need the tape there anymore anyways. It's fine. The finish on this car is so old or worn that the material doesn't even stick very well to it. Okay. Okay, so we want to smooth that out. That's done. What I'm going to do here is we're going to do a little pre-tucking, get the material tucked in underneath just slightly. I mean, we'll imagine this was a white car. We want to get that tucked in there a bit. And then we're going to cut out our excess material. Making sure that we have full coverage. There we go. There's a nice little gap there for my knife to actually glide through. Stuck in something. Don't ever force your knife, okay? Okay, so there we go. I stopped at the corner as you saw right there. Now I'm going to do a little finessing here, okay? So the trick to doing these corners on the bottom here really nicely is, see how I got low? I'm going to take my knife, poke in, come through and around, and super close to the corner, but not right at the corner. But I want to leave a minimal amount of material to wrap around that bottom corner right there because it won't bunch up if I have the right amount of material. If I have too much material, it'll bunch up and then it's going to look like a bottle cap and it's not going to look very pretty. Okay, so let's move that back this way. We're going to heat that. Be careful with your heat gun. I've only done this once and it was on my own car. And it was the second time I ever wrapped my car. I burned the glass. I don't even know if that's possible these days, but I burned it. Okay, so we're going to heat that up and roll in the rest of the way to the inside of the mirror. This material wants to be heated, okay, afterwards, okay? You have to. If you don't, you're going to have issues. Okay, so let's just move that back for a second. Let's heat the bottom edge. Like, pretty hot. Okay, I have my heat gun set on the highest setting, and this heat gun's rated at 1,000 degrees, okay? Fahrenheit. No. Yeah, I don't stay in the same position for long. I move on. I move my heat gun around. All right, so I'm not sure how well I'll be able to show you this. We'll try. It's a tricky cut to show you. I might have to switch my blade out and my knife. Sorry, the material's a little bit warm to cut. It's okay, actually. I'm gonna take my knife, and there's a nice little edge right here where the mirror cap separates from the matte black plastic that's inside of the actual mirror itself, I guess. Like the main housing part. Okay, I'm gonna come back up this way, and then we're gonna start doing our main piece in a second. Cool, that's done. Again, ran my knife in that nice little gap. So let's go over that with heat. Super important. Heat cuts heats. I heated, I rolled around, I cut, then I heat again. And finesse that up, finish it up really nicely. And there we go. So we have our piece, our inlay, all set up. Let's move it back this way. Maybe you can see a bit better. There we go. Cool. Let's move the camera around so we can see the front of the mirror again. All right, guys, we have the inlay set up. Okay, so we just did that, all in full detail. It's all there. It's all good to go. Now we have to put knifeless tape over top of that. Do you have to? Not really, but you should if you're not good at cutting the material without cutting through it. So can I do it? Yes, because I've done lots of PPF or I've done lots of vinyl wraps and I know how much pressure to apply with my knife and how sharp my knife is. But to be safe, use knifeless tape. Okay, so we're going to apply the knifeless tape. Now, you're going to see already that the knifeless tape does not, like, look, just, it falls off, essentially. Like I'm barely pulling it. Look, I can probably blow it off. Just like that. So that's what I'm talking about doing the seams. The seams don't want to stick together because it just doesn't want to stick to itself. Okay, so we're going to make this work. There's a slight bit of tack, not much, but there's enough to make it work. This is honestly the most challenging. It's not the most challenging material. It's nice because we're doing a dry install, right? So, I mean, you can do the mirror dry install with the gloss as well, but I've been doing the whole car with this material here, dry install as opposed to wet, so it saves me a bit of time. Okay, so that's good. I've got my material in place, so what I'm going to do with this excess knifeless tape is I'm going to stick it to the mirror glass, nice and tight, so it stays where I want it to be. The bottom piece, I can't do much with it. It's just kind of like going to hang, whatever, deal with it. Now, what I was saying before is that I may not get this done in the first shot because I may not like the finish. So it's all about how the finish comes out. If the finish comes out looking good, great. If I do it in one try or 1.5 tries roughly, cool. If I have to do it more than that or try more than that, then usually the finish does not come out looking very good because we start to discolor and warp the finish of the material from stretching and pulling and so forth, or whatever, just lifting and pulling and lifting and pulling. Okay, so I'm making this piece again rectangular because it's symmetrical. This is a much bigger piece than I actually need. That's okay. I'm going to take that piece and just try and get it out of the way underneath there. There we go. I don't want my knifeless tape to move. Be very certain that your knifeless tape does not move, because when you go to cut and you have this wrapped really nicely and it's shifted to this side, that's going to suck because you're going to actually expose the paint. Okay, so that's a bit big. We're going to cut it down a little bit in length. I'm picky. Like, I'm very particular with the size and shape of my pieces. The shape is actually, both are actually really important. Okay, so what I'll do now is we're just going to take the liner and fold that back, and that will keep it out of our way. What we want to do now is we're going to pre-stretch this area. So we're going to take it, and this material, you don't have to add heat to it. You just stretch it, okay? So we're going to stretch that out and make sure we're on the right angle. This way, we are able to stay in line with our mirror wrap. Okay, so again, you can see here exactly the same thing I did before as I stretched the material out so the material is wrapping itself down and around the backside. This is step number 1 of being able to have a successful seam using PPF generally, gloss or matte, but even more so with this type of finish because it's going to be much more difficult with this finish than it is with a gloss. Okay, so we're going to take the rest of that, smack that down. Let's put the mirror back. Let's make sure my knifeless tape hasn't moved. I don't think it has, but let's move the bottom piece right there. And then we're going to put the mirror back into its normal position. And I'm going to put my knifeless tape over there. I want to run it that way because I don't want it to come this way. If it comes this way and it cuts short, it's going to expose the paint. Okay, switch that down. Okay, remove your liner. I left my liner on because, again, it prevents all of this from prematurely tacking. Don't want that to happen. Everything's got to stay in place. I won't even need to add heat to this. So I want to bring this back as close to my knifeless tape as possible. Okay, keep it off the mirror, nice and tight, hands over top, tight, tight, tight. Bring it down and around, just like that. Now, my fingers, I'm gonna point something out to you right now. I did this really nicely, actually. My fingers are not coming past the very corner right here, okay? I stopped. I actually have to come down a bit more that way, there we go, to prevent the material from wrinkling up. Okay, so one shot deal, okay? Lots of air is trapped in here. I'm actually, where's that stone chips? Okay, maybe it's stone chips, maybe it's air. We want the air out, lift it up, let it back down, okay? Same thing on the top here. Don't wait too long, that's the key. Like, you don't want to wait forever to squeegee it, which is kind of what I did when I'm talking right now. Okay, let that back down again. Just let it drop. Well, control it. I don't just let it drop. It's calculated. Okay. Okay. Again, my edges are all nice and rounded, okay? I have some air at the top. Great. Okay, so you can see here, it's still very smooth. So let's just push the mirror back in. We can see here that it's still extremely smooth. We don't have any wrinkles or anything at this edge. We have no wrinkles at this edge. And if you can see from the top there, we have no wrinkles at all at the top. Where are all the wrinkles? Well, that's because it's all about the method and the technique. I pull across the high point from here to here, and then the material wraps itself around. Now I stop here. So there's tension inside of here, but I stop here, right when I get to the very edge, or right before I get to the very edge. This way, I don't have any wrinkles at this edge either. So if I push the mirror back the other way, hopefully I don't ruin my knifeless tape here. I'll make sure it's in the right spot. Over here, you can see, again, 0 fingers, 0 wrinkles. Fingers, wrinkles, they're not wrinkles yet. I guess they just call them fingers. 0, okay, nothing. That's how you become successful at using this type of material, or even just vinyl wrap. This still applies to vinyl wrap. Just with vinyl wrap, I would have had to use a heat gun to stretch it in most cases. Okay, so I'm gonna put my knifeless tape back down. You can see here, it moved. See how easily that lifted up? Super annoying. Okay. You can probably hear some water in the background. It's just the snow. We already had snow. It's melting off of the roofs. I hear it at least. Okay, so my knifeless tape went that way. That's okay. What I'll do is I'll freehand trim the excess that's kind of off the line. I don't want to keep moving this around. You're going to see some little dots here and there. Again, this car has over 100,000 miles on it. Okay, it's a lot. It says almost 200,000 kilometers on it. It's a lot. It's on, and it's actually all highway driving. So, because I know where they live. They live near me, and it's a long drive. I didn't always used to live this far, but it's an hour on the highway basically the entire way. Okay, so now we're gonna take our knifeless tape. I smoothed out the edge. We're gonna cut through our material. That's our first things first, okay? It's all about the quick snap in the wrist, okay? There we go. Come down, and that will be fine. Okay. Let's remove our knifeless tape. Let's remove some of that excess right there. Be careful when you pull it off like that, if you do that. Let's keep our garbage, keep our area clean here. Okay, so now this edge, just to show you, I'm not even touching it, and it's just down. I'm not doing anything. It just wants to stay down because of the way that I pulled the material. It wants to go down on top of itself. Now, on this, for the second part of this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my heat gun. Yeah, it's all smudged up and stuff. There's whatever, like I got my fingerprints. I'll clean it up afterwards. You might see some stuff. Now, again, you can see that seam, but I just pushed the mirror in. And when you lock a Tesla, the mirrors go in, whatever. No one's going to see this. Like when I'm standing here, guys, I'm at the side of the car, I'm in actually kind of to the left of the mirror or in front of it. I can still barely see that seam. And that's with the door's locked and the mirror's folded in. So don't stress, like it has to be done. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go over this with heat, and we're gonna basically lock it in. This is gonna help lock it in even better. Nice amount of heat, okay? Keep the heat gun moving. Good. Okay, so that's good to go. What we're gonna do now is pop our glove off, put our mirror back into position, or normal position, and we're gonna start tucking in underneath. We're gonna go under here. I'm lifting off, you can see that. I'm not just trying to force the material in. Wasn't sure if that was a bubble or just a stone chip. Looking at the very edge right here, I saw some air, there we go. There we go, okay. So now what we're gonna do is unfold that, there we go. So I have a nice clean view of what I'm doing. And I don't know, you can't really see, but you'll get the idea. I'm gonna run my blade in the gap. I just push with my knife. I find the spot where it's pushing through, and there's a nice little gap there because this is just a mere cap. It pops off. So it separates itself from the base. Okay, so I didn't start right at the very end. There we go. Beautiful. Missed the tiniest bit right there. There we go. Gotcha. Before I move the mirror around and move the camera, I'm going to show you what I'll do here right now. So we're going to push the mirror in. We're going to finish that corner up right there. See that piece that's hanging off? Hit that with a bunch of heat like that, just for like almost a second, and smush it down. Go over the rest of it, and then clean up. You got to make sure you go over these edges with heat, guys, because it will just lift up overnight. I guarantee you. Well, guarantee you is a big word, but I almost guarantee you that it will probably just lift from the edge, because PPF does not like to sit at edges. You have to make it sit at edges. Okay, so I can kind of keep the camera where it is for now, I think. Let's get it down a bit, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to tackle just the finesse of this corner here, like I did on the inside corner with the first piece. Snap a blade off because it's getting dull. I'll have to replace my knife in a second, so I'll end up pausing the video for that just to cut the seam. Okay, and then we're going to come super, super, super duper close. And then if you had a white card, just know where your corner is. Okay, there we go. Yeah. Trim off our excess. So I'm going to trim even the inside area here away. I only need about 1 inch. Let's trim off a bunch of that. I still have knifeless tape under here. Jeez, I forgot that. That's a big no-no. Do not leave your knifeless tape underneath your seams. So I have to go over that again with heat because I just removed the knifeless tape. It was actually sticking really well. So that heat really does a good job in making the material stick down to itself, or making anything stick to it. Okay, so bottom corner here, let's finish that up. Take that, heat it. I use my thumb first usually, or my finger. And then now I'm gonna get in there with the buffer side of my squeegee because it's a little bit more squishy than my thumb. And then now I'm gonna get in there with my hard edge. And this is fucking nice, okay? That is a super duper nice corner, especially with PPF. Like, it's way harder to do than vinyl wrap, because vinyl wrap shrinks. I can just heat and shrink the material around the corner with vinyl wrap. With PPF, it doesn't shrink at all. So I have to actually heat it and mold it down around the corner. And I have to make sure that I have the right amount of material, because if I have too little, obviously it's gonna show the color. And if I have too much, it's gonna bunch up like crazy. And yeah, you can think about it like, okay, so like if I have too much, can I trim it out afterwards? Yeah, you probably can. You can fix it up a bit, but it will never look as good as if you just cut and leave the right amount from the very beginning. That will always look the best. That just comes with practice and experience, guys. Okay, so I have an air bubble on the top there. We're gonna finish that up. let's get the camera to the back of the car, and I'm gonna switch my knife out. So I'm gonna move the camera back around. I'm not gonna move the mirror. You'll see exactly how it is. Here we go, guys. Got you right up in there. Let's maybe move a bit more this way so that I can get in there a bit more. Okay, so you can see even on the inside of the mirror, I have some like fingers happening, very little. So why do I have these fingers happening? Well, it's because I didn't pull enough down this way. But I can only pull enough down this way because I also have to pull across this line right here, this direction. So essentially we have to be pulling right through to this corner here. So this way we're getting an equal balance of this side and like top side and bottom side, if that makes any sense at all to you. Much easier to explain in person when I do teaching or classes, but just to show you. Okay, so can I make this better? Yeah, maybe it could be a little bit better, but it's not gonna be like perfect. Either way, you can see that I do not have to wrap in very far, okay? Like it's 1/8 of an inch, maybe. Like, can you guys see that? There you go. That's the whole way around, okay? So even the bottom section right here, it's the same thing, even though this doesn't get wrapped. It's the same thing. Like this plastic trim on the outside comes in about 1/8 of an inch to the inside right here, and there's a gap. You can't see it from where you are, but right there's a gap all the way through. Okay, so I just got to go in that a little bit more. And the material's almost already there. And now you can see my corner, how nice that is, right? Okay, so we're going to take our heat gun, just lead with it, warm the material. Okay, so I got air bubbles on my edge. Okay, so we want the material to cool. I don't know if you guys can see those air bubbles. There's one right there and one right there. We want the material to cool before we lift it up. If we lift the PPF up when it's hot, you're gonna tear it. Don't do that. Just let it cool. Be patient. Okay, so all gone. Okay. Just go back over it again. And I'm already there. Okay, so I'm at the edge. That was super easy, quick and efficient. Okay, so now we're gonna heat the heck out of it. Actually, I have one small bubble here, so I gotta let that cool. You can't see it in camera. I can barely see it myself. This is not a bubble. It just could be like there's a plastic weld line. I'm not sure how well that shows in the camera, guys, but it's right there and it runs all the way around. So that could just be the plastic weld line because they don't manufacture it. You should see the gaps on the rear bumper versus the quarter panel. It's so bad. It's like 1/3 of an inch. It's crazy. The gap between the quarter panel and the rear bumper. All right, so that's good. This is nice heat. Now I'm gonna give that a moment to cool down because I wanna make sure that it's not hot when I cut. Just gonna give that 20 seconds, 30 seconds. Go on a little bit, that'll probably help. Just for the video. I don't ever actually do this, I just move on to something else or wait or go check a message or whatever. Okay, so now we're gonna come in. It's cold enough, I can feel it. And we're gonna get between that gap again. It's really tricky to see with the light in my eyes, so I'm overshadowing it with my hand. Let's move my hat, turn my hat backwards so you guys can see, because it's probably gonna get in your way. Nice, okay. This is not how I would cut. I would move myself into your position. You're in my position right now. That's okay. I had to redo the mirror because I screwed up, then fine. Okay, we're good to go. Okay, so this mirror is basically done. We're just gonna heat that up. Heat, cut, heat. Remember, heat it first, roll it around, cut, and then heat again. Nice and hot. Beautiful, okay? This mirror is friggin' finished. That was it. Like, how long is this video with tutorial? Let's see. 40 minutes, that's long. It's way too long. I would have been done this in 15. Okay, so let's move the camera back and show you what this looks like. Okay, guys, mirror is finito. Not sure how well you can see that side, but you saw it already from the other side. It's all done. There's no excess material there. You can see that side there. It's all done. Let's see if I can get you over just a bit to see like that seam. And let's get you zoomed in more. Okay, there you go. There's the seam. Now I can move the camera or move the mirror around a bit more. Get you nice and close. Okay, there's our seam. Put the mirror back in position. And you are coming more from the front of the car right now. So you can't even barely see, or even maybe even see the seam from your angle. You're actually almost at the front of the car. You're just like slightly staggered, maybe a 30 degree angle, let's call it that. Okay, so that's done. Seam looks good. Let's take the tape off just to get an overall better presentation of things. Still some fingerprints on it. I haven't wiped it off yet, but that's okay. And successful, okay? So top, inside, all done. It's beautiful. And this seam will never fail, ever. Like, I would bet an arm on it that it's not going to fail. All right, guys, I hope the video was informative, detailed, and helpful in showing you how to wrap with color paint protection film, but not just any in particular. The matte / satin finishes are way more difficult to get them to seam properly like this, okay? It's all about technique, and then a little bit of like heating and whatever, like just technique is the main one, okay? Because again, you saw how the material was naturally pulling itself down and around that edge without me having to do anything. Like I didn't have to heat it, didn't have to push it down. It was just going down all by itself. That's because of the way that I stretched the material. Physics in the end, okay? It's not rocket science. It's just some basic physics. You don't have to know numbers. You just have to know stickers and angles and directions. That's all it is. Again, I hope the video was informative, helpful, and detailed in showing you how to do this. I look forward to showing you more videos. Thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.